Hi and welcome to this video tutorial covering tutorial 1 on the markplex.com site. I tend to have a couple of things open on my screen all the time, particularly when programming. One is the shortcut bar, which as you can see is already open. That's the bar here to the left, and the other one is the output bar. And as we go through, I use the print log, which if you look down at the bottom of the screen, the tab here, it's what I use a lot is the print statement in EasyLanguage, and that is great for debug. Anyway, today we're going to be going through, as I say, tutorial 1, which is the creation of a very simple show me study. So without further ado, the first thing we do is we click File, New and Window, and then we'll get a bunch of options including a tab for EasyLanguage. We're going to click on EasyLanguage and we're going to select the show me and say OK. We need to give it a name. Now, one of the things I suggest is to put a underscore before the name, because that means that when we bring up this tutorial and apply it to a chart, we're going to see it before all the standard TradeStation ones. So put an underscore tutorial, just got it something like video 1, and then underneath here you'll see make available to the following windows. We're just going to apply this to charts, so we're going to unselect, deselect the radar screen one. I'm going to say OK. Now the first thing you'll notice, and I'm just going to maximize this, is that TradeStation adds a whole bunch of useful comments to help you develop the show me, the indicator, etc., etc. And just worth noting that adding comments to a program is an extremely important thing to do. Even for the most simple programs, you'll find that if you look at them again after a year or so, what you did really makes no sense. So adding as many descriptive comments I would seriously recommend, and that's good programming practice. The way to do that is to surround them by these curly braces, which they call French curly braces, and you can surround multiple lines by that. If I were to delete the first curly brace, you'll see that the TradeStation tries to understand this as a program, which it does not, so we're not going to do that. So another way of doing it is to add 2 forward slashes. Now the thing with 2 forward slashes is it only comments the line. So in order to comment a whole paragraph, we would need to add the 2 forward slashes per line. Anyway, these particular comments are not really going to help us too much in this program, so I'm just going to delete them. They have no effect on the running of the program, really there to help you understand what you've done. And this particular show me study is going to be a real simple study, and what we're going to basically do is create a criteria condition, and that condition is going to be true. I'm just going to delete the criteria there. That's just basically saying this is where you put your program. If the high of today's bar is less than the high of the previous bar, and the low of this bar is greater than the low of the previous bar. So we can write that as follows. We go high. Now in the tutorial I've used H, but you can use high. Probably makes more sense English wise. The less than sign is the less than sign, which I'm not sure there's another way of saying it. And we're going to say the high of this bar is less than the high of the bar 1 ago. Now we can do this in a number of ways. The way I prefer is to put square brackets 1 square bracket, which means the high of the last bar. You could also say the high of the last bar, which is also fine and probably makes more sense English wise, but I just prefer, and certainly in terms of compactness of the programming, the high of the bar with the 1 in square brackets. You could also say the high of the bar 2 bars ago, or the high of the bar 3 bars ago, but we're going to say the high of the bar 1 bar ago. But condition 1 is not just determined on that, it's also determined on, and this is what we're going to add, and the low of this bar, or the low, whichever you prefer, is greater than the low of 1 bar ago. And I'm going to use my syntax, which I prefer. So what we're saying here is the condition 1. The high of this bar is less than the high of the bar before it, and the low of this bar is greater than the low of the bar before it. And we'll see how that applies when we go to the chart. Now with show me's, we need to decide where we're going to plot, and basically show me's add a dot, add a thing on the chart so you can see that the condition has taken place. We're going to do that. We're going to plot it at the place, the average of the high and the low. So to do that, we're just going to create a value 1, and in TradeStation it will automatically allow you to create variables with the names value 1, value 2, value 3, etc., etc. If you want to create one with a specific name, then you have to use the variable. You have to define the variable. So we're not going to do that in this tutorial. We're just going to use value 1. And we're going to set value 1 is equal to high plus low divided by 2. And just to make sure that the syntax is correct, I'm just going to put those in brackets and divide by 2. And finally, we need to do the plot statement. So we're going to say if condition 1, that means if the high of this bar is less than the high of the previous bar and the low of this bar is greater than the low of the previous bar, then we want to plot the show me study. And there's several plot statements. Plot 1, you can do 1, 2, 3, etc. up to 99. We're going to do a real simple case, and we're going to plot value 1. We're going to put a little dot there at the average of the high and the low, and you'll see how that works in just a couple of seconds. Okay, so that's plot value 1, and you need to finish each line with a semicolon. Now, one thing that you might realize is that, or there might be some syntax or something you don't understand. I use this a lot. It's really useful. Any thing like plot or high or low or etc., if you click the right mouse button over that symbol or over that piece of programming syntax, you will get the TradeStation help. So let's just do that. Click definition of plot 1. And we'll get the help screen, so you can, on the fly, you can just look and find out all the different syntax. And we're using a very simple syntax version of plot. As you'll see here under correct, you can plot a variable value, you can name that value, and you can set colors and sizes and so on. But we're not going to do that here. I'm just going to close that. So, having created a show me, the next thing we need to do is verify it. I always do that just at the top of the screen here. You'll see the green tick. We click that. Hopefully there won't be a problem, and the verification will be successful. Okay, so having created the show me, the next thing we want to do is apply it to a chart. So, because we created this bar on the side here, to open a chart we can just click the chart analysis, and that will open a chart. And it's opened it with Cisco, CSCO, and what we're going to do is just apply our show me to this chart, and we do that by going insert, show me, and then we look for the name of the show me that we just created. Now, because we put the underscore under it, you'll notice that it is on top of all the standard TradeStation show me's. So that's going to save us some time in finding it. We're just going to select that and press OK. And what we'll see is immediately we're getting some red dots at certain bars. So in order to check that they fulfill our conditions, what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in. We see at the top of the screen here there's a plus, and we'll just pick a particular bar at random. So why don't we just choose this one over here. We click and drag, and we'll see this particular bar. So is the high of this lower than the high of the previous bar? Yes, it is. And is the low of this bar greater than the low of the previous bar? And yes, it is. So indeed, we've plotted this dot here at value 1, which we've defined as the average of the high and the low. And to get back to see the rest of the chart, we can just simply press the zoom out button, and then we'll see the whole chart. So that is a very quick introduction to how to create a very simple show me. We'll be looking into show me studies a little bit more as we go through. Please feel free to go to markplex.com, that's markplex.com, and sign up for our email listing, and therefore if you do that, we'll be able to send you updates to tutorials as we create them and other TradeStation information. Thank you very much.